What's up, guys? Alex here. Got some pretty interesting news this morning to start off my day. I don't know how I'm gonna title this video yet, but life's getting hard, man. It's been hard for a while. And I'm not saying that I want to self-delete before I say this. I just want to say this right now. I have no thoughts of it or anything, but I will say I understand why people do. Because it's tough. It's very hard, and that is why every day people, I believe, myself included, it's a struggle, turn to vices to escape reality. And that is the reality of the world and just all of the problems, and especially that come at your doorstep, and expectations. That might be another video. Expectations, especially for men today, are insane. But, well, before the news, I as I get older, I'm 33, almost 34 now. You hear stories and things about how other people aren't doing so well. And some people just don't make it also. One of the first times this has happened to me was I grew up with somebody named, I don't know if I should say his name. I'll just say his name. His name was Dan. I was friends with Dan. He was a childhood friend of mine. One of my fondest memories of being with Dan and childhood friends was at his mom's house. This was back like between 5 to 10 years old. We'd be at his mom's house eating probably, I think, Pizza Hut and playing Banjo-Tooie on the N64. We would just be up playing that multiplayer when you had those stupid ass kazooies and the eggs, and you would just chase each other down in the little maps and just shoot each other with the eggs. Banjo-Tooie. That was one of my fondest memories with Dan. Dan was always a little weird, but he was a friend of ours. We lost in contact for a long time. He moved away. He eventually came back. We spent some time with him about a decade ago. Dan was in most of my classes when I was a kid. Dan went to my birthday parties. I went to his birthday parties. Wasn't that long ago, Dan took his life. He self-deleted. That was a sad day. That was a while ago now, but that was just one example. More have happened, but life's tough. And that was before it's gotten even worse, honestly. So anyway, the news of today, we're going to call him, I'm not going to use his real name. I'm going to say John. I grew up with John from middle school through high school. We were in band together. I was a band person. I don't think I've ever admitted that, but I was in band. I played saxophone, and John played, I think it was clarinet. Me and John were not friends like outside of school, but in school we were pretty close. We had, inside jokes. It was one of those just school friends. So I knew John all through middle school, sat at lunch together, did pretty much everything throughout the day besides, hang out after school. Me and John then went to the same high school. There was a lot of expectations to go to college. It was just one of those schools. If you didn't go to college, you were viewed upon, I wouldn't say as a failure, but not good. Wasn't good. Throughout high school, this is also where we started hanging out after school. We would start smoking weed together, drinking together. I have some fond memories of being with Dan. You know, there was other people too, but not Dan. His name's not Dan. I don't even know why I said Dan. Oh, from the before the other part of the video. John, you know, we went to house parties together, you know, with a bunch of people. You know, it was just, we had a lot of memories with this dude, a lot. And I always figured that John would do way better than me in life. John was going to, I assumed at the time, you know, he would go to college, he would graduate, and he'd be a doctor or some shit. John went to a very nice college, within the top 50. Easily top 50. I don't want to say the college, but it wasn't like Yale or Harvard, but it was top 50. Very good school. Very expensive. I don't believe he finished it. I kind of like didn't, it was one of those friends where like from high school, but you kind of like lost touch. You know, I haven't been on social media in a very long time, over 10 years easily, 15 years now at this point. And I lost contact with a bunch of these guys, but he was one of them. And, but I would snoop from time to time. And I know from, you know, word of mouth or whatever that, John did not finish school. I don't know why, but he didn't finish. John, this is another topic for another video. When I say deadbeat or dead end job here, I don't mean to insult the job. It's just a reality. John ended up working a dead end job with his dad. And when I mean dead end job, I don't mean like, you know, it's like a family business, but I'll just say it's like, it was a pizza place. John was always a little off, but not completely. He was a good kid, good student. He was in like better classes than I was, you know, went to way better school. Like I said, I assumed that he was going to be a doctor or something. And based on his ethnicity, also, he wasn't, you know, I'm not going to go too much into detail, but based on his background, it's surprising. He, as of today, entered a psych ward voluntarily. So he went from going to a very prestigious school, very good in his classes, successful, to working a dead-end job and entering a psych ward. Actually, it hurts more to hear that when I say it out loud. But now some people would say, you know, oh, what a loser. Oh, he failed, blah, blah, blah. I don't really see it that way. I think it's sad. And it actually stuck with me the whole day. And it goes into a deeper meaning also. We're putting way too much stress on people in this world. Like, there's way too many expectations, and it's all bullshit and meaningless. You know, if I had to guess, I'm not in his brain or whatever, but he probably spiraled out of control when he didn't finish college and probably felt weaker as a person. If I had to guess, probably right. And he probably turned drugs, hardcore drugs. You know, he started smoking weed, and he probably went into hardcore drugs, and because I know he had a schizophrenic episode. It's sad, man. This is probably just an example of many, 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 many more instances just like this in America. And it is sad because I do blame part of it on what society expects of people. Obviously, yes, everyone has their own fair share of blame. You know, he chose to do whatever he did, blah, blah, blah. But I just find it fascinating and sad at the same time how one can go in America from going to a very prestigious school to dropping out to working a dead-end job to entering a psych ward because of a schizophrenic episode. How does it get to that point? It's sad, man. And part of it I do blame on society. And this is another video topic. I got so many thoughts. Social media is destroying this world. I'm about to say this country. Social media is destroying this world. Because not only was, 10, 15 years ago, so many expectations for men, but now with social media, it's like, oh, if you don't have X, Y, or Z, you're a fucking loser. You're not a loser. You're not, If you don't have something, it's fine. If something doesn't work out, that's also fine. Many of these business guys, and this is a crazy example, but it's true, a lot of these business people today have a lot of failed businesses before they got successful, right? But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about this. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you think society is putting too many standard or expectations on men today? I personally do. But I think at the end of the day, what I have to say is, if you fall down, it's fine. If you fall down, life goes on. You can always make changes. You can always improve. It's not over. It's not over. And again, I got more stories to tell, but I have a friend, or an old friend, who not doing so well today. Pretty much getting divorced and losing his children, I believe. But yeah, that sucks. But you're only 30, and life will go on, and you can make changes and continue, because we all live on this planet for a very long time. You only have one life to live, and you always can change how you are and change the direction of your life, And that's why I look at someone like John, and I can only wonder what was going through this dude's head after some hiccups and the expectations people had for this dude. But thankfully he's still alive, right? But I can't say the same for people like Dan I mentioned earlier in the video, or some other people that I've known. They just ended it. Anyway, I think that video has gone on enough. It's been 13 minutes, so see you later.